Dear Diary, I'm in Washington, D.C. with my loving husband. He needs to put in his electoral vote for the president. There are 4 candidates. My choice is on the great Andrew Jackson. I have no idea what my husband wants. I just hope it isn't that pitiful John Adams or Henry Clay. I don't think William Crawford even has a chance, but because I'm a woman, I don't have a say in who becomes president. Sometimes I feel like a slave, but not as troubled, mainly because we work for our husbands. We clean, we cook, we do their wash. What do we get in return? A kiss on the cheek before we go to bed? And because we aren't capable of voting, we women get to sit and watch as men squabble about who they want to be elected. Recently, they made it law that any white man in eastern states, except for Rhode Island, of course, can vote. Slaves still are treated less than whites, but then again, most women are too. My best friend comes crying to me every morning once her husband is gone to work because he beats her. And most men beat slaves, so we sometimes are as equal as most slaves. Sorry, I got a little off track. Back to elections. One thing I like about John Adams is he promotes economic growth. I agree with him even though I don't like him. If we as a country want to go farther in life, we need to improve our lifestyles and make it easy on the people working. But most Americans don't agree because they don't want the government to have too much power. But of course, Adams cried like a little baby until he got his way. So Congress gave some money to pave roads and build canals. But as most Americans prayed, most of his programs got turned down. Day 25, Washington, D.C. Finally, it's only down to Adams and Jackson. My family has their fingers crossed it won't be Adams. But this campaign is becoming a very bitter battle. Voters are yelling at one another about the reasons Adams or Jackson cannot become president. I'm so sick of hearing about this, I'm tempted to pack my bags and take my children and go back home without my husband. All I hear about when he gets home is how the nominating conventions are a great improvement to elections, or how he is so worn out going over statements of our future president. I, for one, don't care anymore. All my 14-year-old daughter and me here out the window is Whigs, 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 or Democrats, Democrats, Democrats. These political parties are getting out of control. We all need to listen to what George Washington said before he left office. Day 46, Washington, D.C. Finally, election day. After today, we get to go home. My husband has been gone for 23 hours now. We are all on the verge of cracking. We all just want to know who our president is going to be. Well, we are pretty sure it'll be about 16 more hours before Billy gets home and we know who was elected. The hours we wait feel like days. I can feel the anxiety in the air. This is a critical moment for Americans. Then we hear the shouts, "Old Hickory is president!" It was a proud day for most Americans. The shouts swept the nation. When my husband came home that night, he was in the best mood ever. He had a great say in the election. Clearly, he was for old Jackson himself, as all of us were. By the time we left Washington, D.C. 2 days later, there were still people proudly shouting and partying about who our new president was. I finally realized that this trip was not all that bad as I thought. It did show me a few things, but either way, more good came out of it than bad. One last time before we got in the horse and buggy, we all shouted, "Old Hickory," and we